Hey, this is Tali Berman, autism specialist and author, and welcome to the final part. This is the 4-part series on autism and education, and this is part 4. So if you haven't watched part 1, video number 1, I encourage you to do that first. That really talks about why it's important. What are the 4 reasons why it's important to actually give your child an education and expose your child to the knowledge that most kids his age have access to? So if you haven't watched video number 1, that will be the basis for all that you're doing and all the strategies involved in these other videos. Check out video number 1 first. Video number 2 gives you the first step of what you can do to begin to give your child access to that kind of knowledge, a little bit more information about how to give him access to that knowledge. And video number 3, if you haven't watched that yet, gives you a little bit more information about how you can involve your child further in that learning process and also give your child an opportunity to demonstrate his understanding of what you're teaching him. So I'm going to get into video 4 in just a minute, but if you haven't watched video 1, 2, or 3, the links are below, and I really encourage you to do that first, and then hop on over back here to video number 4. But if you've already seen those, you already did 1, 2, and 3, welcome to video 4. And today I'm going to talk about how to bring learning to life. All right, so yes, it is important to give your child exposure to knowledge through textbooks, through learning materials, diagrams, models, like any other kid would in an academic setting. And there's a way you can take it further, which is bringing some of that information to life in your community, in your neighborhood. Now, of course, this is going to depend on the kind of child you have, how he does in public outings, how he does in staying with you versus bolting off. But if you have a child that has those basic skills in place, and might be especially motivated now that he has some more knowledge and an opportunity to investigate that curiosity further, then this can be a really great opportunity for you, which is bring knowledge to life through experiential outings. All right, so let me give you some examples of what that might be. Let's say you've been learning about animals, right? You've been teaching your child all about different animals, different diets, different habitats, how they raise their young, a whole lesson on animals, which is really exciting for many kids to learn about. And then you go to the local zoo or you go to the local farm, nearby, and you give your child an opportunity to really see and feed and be a part of what it was he was just learning about. Take it out of the textbook and bring it to life. You can go to the aquarium that's in your area and really see and experience the whales, the fish, the sharks, whatever it was that you were just learning about. And at this point, you've really developed this curiosity and this real desire for your child to want to learn more. And so that can be a really exciting outing you can do to help support that learning and to really increase his curiosity further, which again, as I mentioned in video number 1, is a great impetus for communication. The more your child wants to learn, the more curious he becomes, the more he has got opinions about things, the more he will want to communicate further. And communication growth is something we're almost always working on. And if you're wanting more specific skills on how to do that for children who are not yet verbal or partially verbal, again, I've talked about this book in the series of RPM books that can be really helpful in teaching you how to do that. Here's some other ideas. You can take your kid to a museum, especially if there's an exhibit of something you were just learning about. And actually, you might decide to teach your child content based on exhibits that are happening in your area. So you might learn that there's an Egyptian exhibit happening in your local museum for the next month. And so you teach your child about Egypt and about mummies and about the whole culture around the Egyptians, and then go to the museum and give your child a chance to actually see and experience these things. You might have done a whole series or content on, let's say, how cars are made, how trains work. And you can go to, let's say, an auto shop. You can go to a garage. You can go to, again, this is assuming that your child isn't super sensitive to different sounds. You want to really think about your child and his sensitivities before you take him to places that might be too loud or too overwhelming. You can also, if you're learning about how food grows, and then take your child to a local farmer's market, a grocery store. There's so many different things that you can do that might be involved in public outings, taking to a train and actually getting on a train and getting off the train and learning about the whole system of how trains work. But the other way you could bring things to life is also through activities that you do in your home. So this could be something like science projects you might do, baking projects you might do if you're learning a little bit more about food. And you also might use nature as an outing in that way too. If you've been learning about the weather, if you've been learning about how trees grow, if you're learning about why leaves fall, if you're learning about the different creatures that might be at your local lake or pond, this is a perfect opportunity to bring this education to life. So you might first start with some interesting content and then see what's in your local area that can help support that learning. Or you might see what's in your local area and then decide to choose content based on what you can then support through outings or through activities in your home. So this is just one last strategy for you of how you can help take education and bring it to life for your child so that your child can not only get the education he deserves, feel the empowerment of someone who believes in his true intelligence, but then also help him integrate further into the community, into the neighborhood by taking advantages of the resources in your area. So I'd love to hear what you're taking away from this video. Hop on down, leave your comment below. What is one thing you are learning from today's video? I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching this anywhere other than my blog, hop on over to www.taliberman.com because that is where the conversation happens.